thanks for coming, everyone. Really excited to see everyone. I'm going to be sharing my screen right now. But Kayleigh, you could like quickly introduce yourself.
Oh
Um,
yeah, hi everyone, I'm Kayleigh. I'll talk more in a second, but thank you so much for joining this first session for AIA's Career Summit. I know the guys over there are doing an awesome job putting together all these events. So hopefully you guys learn a lot from this week, right? Is 1 week? Yeah.
Our
cool.
summit is actually the whole month of December. So this is our,
Oh,
yeah, first week, but first event. So this is awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
I think it's really good that you guys are doing research, especially in the crazy climate in animation right now. But thanks so much for being here. A little bit about myself. I've worked as an art director, supervisor, Visdev artist, but I did start off as a background artist. I also started in games too. So if you guys are interested in transitioning from games into animation, or even like animation to games, maybe some parts of my own like journey can help you guys. I'm currently working at Sony Picture Animation, and here are some of the studios that I've worked for. So I have been jumping between animation and video games. I know that some people want to do both later on, as long as you guys keep working hard and then being nice and being humble. Anything is possible, okay? It just takes a long time. So just be patient with yourself. Here are some movies. I'm not a furry, but there's a lot of furry shows that I worked on. Yeah, I need to always put that out there. So this is the most recent movie that's been released. I'm sure you guys know animation has been kind of crazy. Some of the projects that I worked on have been put on hold. So it's kind of sad that this is the most recent professional work that I could show. But this is from Bad Guys. So doing animation Visdev is extremely fun. And what I really like about it is that there are so many different subjects, so many different like point of views that you can design and paint. So in my opinion, it doesn't get boring. Um, we not only do like story moments as Visdev artists, so we're trying to design a location, design how the mood is supposed to look like during the movie, but you kind of also like shape the visual like shape language as you're going through these things. So I feel like feature is a little bit more challenging because a lot of the styles keep evolving. This is like one of the first like concept pieces I did. So you could see as it went on, like the style changed, like the shapes became more jagged. There was more line work added. There's more textures. So that's kind of the process of how feature works. And then you sometimes you get a 3D model, and what you're supposed to do is like explore lighting, which is something that I didn't do in TV animation. So I did start off as a background designer, so that was a very interesting thing for me to do. I was still able to bring my background design skills into features. So personally speaking, I do think it's really beneficial for anyone trying to get into feature to maybe start off in like TV animation. Why do I say that? Because TV animation has such a short time frame, and you're really like forced to get good and to get fast under like people's guidance. So you also learn how to work with people under like a very stressful situation. So I found that like jumping from TV to feature was really beneficial for me. Yeah, and then I was really bad at painting at one point, so I kept trying to like work on my colors, my understanding of like design and painting. So it's all like it all comes together. You might feel like you're stuck right now, like just trying to focus on one thing, and then you don't know how to combine it. But the more you do, the less you give up, the more you'll eventually find out how to combine everything in your own way and then make a unique approach for your own art too. So be really patient. I never thought I would be able to work in feature, let alone in animation as a TV artist, but I feel really lucky to have had the opportunities I had. Um, but yeah, so right before I did Bad Guys, I was at DreamWorks working on KIPO as an art director. I don't know how many of you guys want to become like art directors, but one thing that I notice is it's really important to kind of be vocal about what you want to do. So let's say you're starting off as a background designer. You already worked for 2 years. You should let someone in like recruiting know that you want to either become a supervisor or your end goal is to become an art director. This is super important because that's how I got this job. When I was working at Warner Brothers at the time, somebody from DreamWorks contacted me, and then she's like, "Oh, we have this background design position open. Are you interested?" And at that time, I was like, I am interested, but like, do you guys have any art directing positions open? And she's like, "Oh, no, but I'll keep you in mind." And I thought she was just being nice. But in the end, she actually reached out to me 6 months later. So that was like really fun. And because of that, like I jumped on to like Rad's show, KIPO, and I just got to do like the craziest things. So sometimes you get an art, like a showrunner that's like really chill and really trust you. I feel like that's really fun, but also really stressful because everything is just like unlimited. The world, you could just explore anything, but like there's like no limitations, which is hard, but also fun. So my point is for this part is just be sure you're vocal and you let people know about what you want, but of course in a nice way, right? So that's another tip that I hope you guys can bring back with you, because sometimes these opportunities won't be just like given to you or dropped on your lap. Even if you're working hard and performing well, sometimes people just don't know if that's where you want to go. So it's really important to like be vocal about that. This is when I was at Warner Brothers. I had just come back from Shanghai. It was like a pretty cool show. Um, but yeah, like this is one of the backgrounds that I wanted to show from there. I like really tried to push the perspective. And as you can see, it's also slightly more stylized. And this is the work that I did in Shanghai, which I feel like helped me the most in my career. So if you guys ever have the opportunity, although the pay is much higher here in America due to the unions, I do think it's like really fun to like go to another country, experience life. Like I feel like as artists, it's really important to kind of have different types of like life experiences to enhance your artwork. So by going to China, I was able to learn about their architecture. The people I worked for, which is Wolf Smoke Animation, he was like a very like old school like type of Japanese anime type of person. So I think it really helped me solidify not only my perspective but my scale. And due to that, I was able to like bring all of this information into like feature work and all the other projects after. It was like the hardest job I ever did, but I feel like it was definitely the most rewarding. And then I worked on Legend of Korra before that, and that was also really fun and hard. I also learned a lot. So just challenge yourself, like try to always go on the shows that you feel like are hard. And then like if you doubt yourself, don't worry, everybody freaking doubts themselves. They feel like shit, but just believe that you could do it, and just try to aim higher. And yeah. So even though I started off with like work, I wanted to show some personal work too. I feel like this is kind of where you shine. And then don't forget why you did art in the first place, okay? This is going to be really important because we're going to be working 40 hours a week. It gets extremely exhausting. So you just want to make sure you still have fun on the side. So here are some recent pieces that I did. Like I said, I really love to travel with my wife, Kayleigh. Um, and every time I go places, all I like to do is like snapshot, imagine different scenes, like what do I want to capture. Every time I take a picture, there are different things. So it's like shape, design language, color, lighting, interaction between like complicated shapes versus simplicity. So there's always a goal when I'm taking photos. Sometimes Kayleigh looks at my photos and she's like, "This is the most ugly photo you have ever taken." But when she sees the painting, she's like, "Okay, I guess it wasn't too bad." So just prove to people that like, I don't care about what you say. I'll make it look cool. And then this is in Spain. So it's just, um, I think if you guys want to like really try to improve, something that has helped me is really trying to understand like a specific goal for each piece. So let's just say like for this Cuba piece, I never had the opportunity to kind of design lighting. So I really took my time to design the light, make sure it feels like warm and vibrant, and then making sure that there were smaller shapes. So you could see the shapes up top. That it's very intentional. I tried to design the shape language so it's cohesive. So that was my main intention, color and design. And then that's what I really focused on here. So when you guys are doing your personal artwork, because you have such limited time, it's going to be really important for you to like not only have fun with it, but have like intention. And I'm gonna let you guys know that most of the times when I'm hired for projects right now, it's not because of my professional work. It's because I constantly update my Instagram and my social media, my website, so people can see that like I'm trying to experiment and explore, and then they're interested in this process. So keeping up to date on your social media, even though it sucks and I know it's really painful, is going to be extremely important for like your artistic career. And I know some of you guys might get like kind of scared posting, but just try to overcome that. This is just the times that we live in, and we have to be like, we kind of have to be like our own salesperson, our own representative and agent. And I know like, I mean, especially for me, I think speaking as an Asian person, like was really shy. I was really timid, but I always try to put myself in like uncomfortable situations where like uncomfortable as in situations that I would never do, and like try to improve on things, because I feel like once you place yourself in a position like that, you're forced to kind of grow, right? So always remember that. And once you get noticed by someone, it gets like easier and easier. So this is a Procreate commission that I did. And I try to work on my weaknesses too. This is from a class from Ahmad. He's really awesome. I highly recommend his class. But I just worked on my weaknesses, and yeah, it was a challenging but very fun experiment. And I try to like experiment with different types of like applications. So I used a watercolor brush for this. And then I guess what I really enjoy doing in my spare time is doing gouache paintings. So with gouache paintings, I really try to experiment again with like brush strokes, colors, shape design. And each painting, I really try to do like different things. So yeah, just have fun with your artwork. When you guys have fun with it, everybody could see like what you're trying to do, and then they'll be inspired by you too. So yes. And then this is plein air painting, where you kind of go out. If you guys are located in Los Angeles, I highly recommend you guys coming out to the Warrior Painter paint sessions. So we go out every weekend except for holidays, and we just like hang out and paint. It's a really nice way to not only meet people. So if you guys are kind of shy and you want to like get to know people a little bit more, this is a great opportunity to like talk to people and meet people that are like either green in the industry or like veterans. So I'll have more slides on that later. This is from one of my beach workshops last year. It was really fun. And then another thing that, like I said, I like to put myself in uncomfortable like situations. So I was really shy before. And in 2016, after I came back from Shanghai, I actually got really sick for a while. So I couldn't really go out to enjoy nature. So what I told Kayleigh is like, as soon as we're back in America, I want to be consistently painting. So I'm forced to go outside every day. So at first it was really sad. It was just me, Kayleigh, and our two dogs. But eventually more and more people showed up. And now we're kind of like a really great community that like supports and helps each other. So we'll have a QR code for you guys after this, but please sign on to the Discord. I know some of you guys might have some questions later. You can ask on this Discord. Everybody's really friendly, and yeah, just come and hang out on voice chats. But we just really want everybody to kind of disconnect from the computer and come out to paint with us. So we've been operating for 7+ years now. We've had multiple exhibitions, at least 400 plus paint sessions. And yeah, here are the stats. I don't need to read it out loud. but yeah, like during the pandemic, we really exploded and we were super active, but now we're more active in person. So we have branches in Toronto, San Francisco, Australia, so many different places. And it's kind of fun because now you can be like, hey guys, I'm going to Paris. Are there any warrior painters here? And then people will meet up with you. So that's what I've been doing with Kayleigh. So we met up with people in Portugal, Spain, the UK. It was really fun. So check it out. Everyone's really nice. And here's the QR code. You can sign on to either warriorpainters.com or scan this right now. Sometimes I'm on there. If you see me on there, like feel free to join and chat with me. And I'm kind of doing a thing called Coast Cards right now. So if you guys are interested, it's like a daily challenge where you paint on a wooden coaster that's 4x4 every day of December. And at the end of the month, you could talk to people and say like, hey, can I exchange coasters with you? So this is a way to like maybe get coasters from artists that you like that are doing the challenge. And I've exchanged with many people. I think this is the 4th year we have ran it. So it's been really, really fun. Actually, I think this is the 3rd year. But yeah, I hope you guys can join. So maybe we can potentially exchange coast cards later on. But yes, sorry, you might hear my dog barking a lot, and I'm really sorry. Kayleigh, you should close my door. But yeah, okay. Anyways, I'll pass it on to Kayleigh right now.
Oh, actually, I don't think people can hear the dogs from your microphone.
Okay, good.
But they might hear it from my microphone. So
Okay,
if
I'll go
anyone
close the door.
if anyone doesn't know, we're actually married and we're living in the same house. I had to turn off my camera a few times earlier because our dogs are barking. But yeah, that's usually how I introduce myself to people. I say I'm Angela San's life partner and also business partner. So right now I work for Warrior Art Camp and Warrior Painters. As I listed here, I do most of the things for Warrior Art Camp, the things behind the scenes. If you guys have taken a class with us, you probably got a lot of emails from me. And for Warrior Painters, I manage the Instagram, and I try to collaborate, find people to talk to so we can have gallery shows. Also, I dabbled in animation a little bit. I work in production as a coordinator. That was the show I worked on, Solar Opposites. I don't know if anyone has seen it. It's a Hulu show. It's pretty funny. But right now, I just mostly organize events and organize classes. And before my time with all the artists or art related, I was a marketing strategist and consultant. Most of you here probably don't understand what that means. It's okay. And just briefly about me, I came from China after I graduated from college. So I came here for grad school. That was about maybe 12 years ago. And I met Angela after I graduated and I moved to LA. We stayed here for a little bit. We went to, like she mentioned, we went to Shanghai for work for about 2 years. And then we came back here, started Warrior Painters. And during the pandemic, we started Warrior Art Camp. And I'll talk more about Warrior Art Camp in the next slide. For when we had Warrior Painters, we had a lot of people who want to share knowledge with each other. That was already a very friendly community, but we just thought there's a way to kind of like organize these sessions, the learning sessions, and then we can make people, start a class plan and they can share their knowledge in a more systematic manner. That's why we're like, oh, okay, let's try having people like teach each other here. And Angela is kind of like, she wants to take classes from a lot of people. So she started asking people to teach with us. That's also how we started having the first round of teachers. We believe that with Warrior Art Camp, we want to pave the way for every student's art journey because art is really hard. Even though I'm not an artist, I like to say I'm the only non-painter in Warrior Painters, and I always wear like Warrior Painters swag and stuff. but I understand how hard it is for every one of you. So we hope we can help you on this journey just a little bit. And for our classes, we are very proud to offer them in small class sizes. Also, these are all live classes. We don't sell recordings. because we believe it's more efficient if you can learn from the teachers directly and you can get feedback. And most of our classes focus on portfolio building because we want to make sure you guys learn from us, and then you can use the pieces you work on in the class to get maybe a job offer after, or maybe you can get to a higher position in the entertainment art industry. In just over 2 years, we've launched, I actually pulled the stats yesterday. I surprised myself as well. We launched 163 courses to over 2,000 students. Here are some stats about our instructors. We've worked with 85 instructors, and currently there are 65 active ones, meaning they are teaching or they're coming back. And also we have a very good gender ratio in our instructor group. We have almost half female and non-binary instructors. And so is our student. So we have a bit more female students. That's a very interesting stats too, but we really like that. These are the 6 categories currently we have for our classes. So when we said entertainment art, we were talking about animation, game, illustration. We also have digital painting, traditional painting, just mostly because people know us from warrior painters. And we do have some art fundamental classes to help people get started. And I'll share some of the sample classes we have right now. For animation, because most of us are in animation from warrior painters, and Angela is mostly in animation. That's why we have a lot more classes that focus on helping people build their portfolios for animation. So not just from BG design or Visdev, we'll also have character design classes, like actual animation, like animating classes, and also storyboarding classes. And for digital painting, we also have a lot of classes, thanks to warrior painters. Yeah, and we try to get teachers from all over the world. And as you can see, maybe some people can recognize Alone Lee, the first circle there, and the third one, Brent Yang. They're both in China. We're trying to get people like to teach with us all over the world, and because all those students are all over the world as well. And the next one is for game and illustration. So Ahmad is the teacher Angela was talking about when she took the class and did the character design work. And he's actually teaching again in January, and you can still sign up right now. Illustration classes are like for people who are into creating more like editorial work or comics. And we're trying to expand in that area as well. And we have an art station with all of our student work. It's getting updated on a daily basis, so you guys can take a look and see what you can get out from certain class before you decide to sign up. And then we have another QR code here is for you to subscribe to our email newsletter, because that's the best way to stay updated to what's going on with us and what new classes are coming up. Oh, yes. And I usually receive a lot of questions about certain things, and I just want to explain to you guys here in case you're interested in signing up in the future. So the first question we always get is, when will someone teach again? So that's a question we want to know too. So for a lot of our instructors, they have their daytime job in the studios, so they can't really commit to class schedules ahead of time. So we always bug them, when can you teach again? And also most of our classes are over the weekend. So those instructors are taking out their weekend time to teach. So it's really hard to answer. So if we go to the next page, I kind of like tell you guys, the best way to keep updated is to follow our social media or like subscribe to our email newsletter. And the second question is, how do you sign up quickly, since some of our classes are super popular? So because we have very small class size, so it's a little hard for people to sign up sometimes, but we do have some little tricks here. I'll share it on the next slide. Yes, what's the clock? We usually open registration at 12 p.m., like noon time for Pacific. area, and then you can try to watch just click on the page right on the dot. And a lot of people can register because they're using Google Pay on their Chrome browser. That like speeds up the process a lot. And also we use this site called Square to process payments. And sometimes it asks you to log in before you can register for a class, but you can also opt out and just pay as a guest. That'll speed up too. And are there any financial aids? We're trying to get more scholarships. Some of our classes, the teachers, they do offer scholarships. So we work with them and we select some people to be the candidates. But mostly we offer this 50% now, 50% later payment plan. You can email us if you're interested. And we probably forgot to mention this, but we do have a scholarship program right now running with Titmouse. But that's for people who've been working in the animation industry for at least 4 years, because that's a training program to train future art directors. You can learn more from our website as well. Yes, free resources for people who can't afford the courses. Angela mentioned this before, but we do have this public server, Warrior Painters. Yeah, so because most people on there also work in the industry, either in animation or games or live action, just in entertainment related industries. So if you go there, you can find the proper channels to ask questions, and you can also like get to know each other there. It's a really good community.
Isn't there also some free resources for like some of the gouache time lapses and stuff too?
Yes, I think we have some of those on our Warrior Painters website if you go to resources tab, but those are a bit outdated. That's what I didn't put here.
Yeah,
we're trying to provide more though.
Yeah, but they're free. So if you guys want to just go to Warrior Painters, and then there are some recorded gouache paintings from me that are free on there. So just in case you guys want to get started with gouache, it might be a good resource as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and speaking of communities, yeah, we do try to build communities just like AIA is doing here, and trying to encourage each other on this journey, because yeah, art is hard, painting is hard. So we want to be there with you along the way. So before we move on to the portfolio session, do you guys have any questions for us about Warrior Art Camp, about Warrior Painters, or about Angela's personal journey?
I actually have some questions from the chat. And Angela's been really good responding to people actually in the chat as well. But there was one earlier that I think is a pretty good one. If someone has a portfolio and they have a specific studio that they want to apply to, what ratio of personal style pieces versus tailor-made pieces for the studio would you suggest someone to have in their portfolio?
Well, I think that's a really good question, but like let's look at the trend right now. Besides I guess Disney and Pixar, is there really a house style for a studio? So like based off of my observation, like I noticed like DreamWorks has been trying different styles. If you look at Bad Guys versus Puss in Boots, right? Like they're extremely different. So I feel like it's kind of harder to tailor a specific style to a studio unless it's like Disney or Pixar. But like I know for Sony, since I'm working there right now, I think the more you have your own personal artwork in there, the more it'll make you stand out. But of course, they have to kind of be like more polished pieces just to show how far you could push it. But I think it's a little bit more difficult to say now because everybody's just trying to explore, especially after Arcane, right? Like everyone's just pushing the styles. So being sure you're paying attention to the trend. I wouldn't say like following the trend is important, but just trying to be like experimenting and trying different things will be more important in my opinion.
Definitely. We have another question here. You kind of already mentioned it in your presentation, Angela, but for someone who is a newbie and trying to just get their first job, their first foot in the door, do you have any advice for someone who's just been trying and trying, but there's no luck there?
Yeah, so it's from Parnian. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I said that wrong, but so right now it's a very unique time in animation. I've been in the industry for 12 years now, and I haven't really experienced like this many lack of jobs, I guess. So I would say just be patient. hopefully next year it'll be better. Like nobody knows how the industry or the economy is going to go. If you guys look at everything else, every single company is doing layoffs across all different industries. So it's not just animation. What I can say is like the silver lining to this is the perfect time to work on your own artwork, to take classes, to get better. Because once you start working, you won't have the energy for it. So try to view it like that. But the best way that you can get your job is do socialization, do networking, but like don't do it in a way where you're kind of annoying, right? Like you have to be like nice and kind and like sincere, because people can tell when you're just like trying to network for the sake of networking to get a job. So there is like a fine line between it, and then learning that skill. So like I said, being an artist isn't just about art, it's about your social skills too. So that's something that we all have to kind of work on. And that's what's really exhausting, because I feel like most of us are introverted. So like it's already a lot of effort for me to try to talk to you, but now I have to think about how I'm talking to you. But like just try to be sincere, be nice, and get to know more people. And then eventually you'll get your foot in the door. It might take a few more chances, but this is what happens when we choose this path of art.
That's perfect. And Sydney asks a great question to follow up on that. How do you decide what to put as personal art on social media? And do you have a plan, or do you just kind of draw whatever you like or love or passionate about?
Mm-hmm. That's a really great question too. I think people sometimes cater their social media to what gets them the most likes, but I'm the completely opposite. Like, I think postcards is a good way to get rid of your social media anxiety, because I never get a lot of likes for my postcards. I don't know why. At first, I was like, oh man, my paintings suck, but whatever. I like doing them. So for me personally, I always do things that I'm passionate about. Like, I was looking at my Instagram the other day and I'm like, what the hell? If I was like someone else looking at my artist, I would think that like I'm 20 artists all in this one social media, because I don't have like a style. Um, so let's just say you're the type of artist that's really curious and experimental. Just show that in your social media. That's just who you are. Why are you hiding who you are, right? Just try to do what you like, and eventually you'll figure out like this style that you like, and it'll make you so unique that everybody's going to want you. So that's my best tip for you guys in that for that question.
Yeah, and if I can add a little bit on that. So we've been scouting for teachers a lot on social media as well. And for me personally, I really like to see people's growth throughout the years. So having kind of like a social media presence and showing your work from like a few years ago until now, you can see a clear path, like what this person has been doing. So that gives you some comfort, or like makes you believe they can keep improving and they're not afraid of showing their weaknesses. I think that's a good way. I don't know. I haven't talked to enough recruiters about this, but just on the human side about this, I feel like you can tell a person's personality too. So
Yeah,
that's something
and
for you guys to consider.
I wanted to add on to that too. Like, I actually like it when people leave their old artwork on their social media. Like, you could see my sad Instagram, but I have like over 1,000 posts. And I don't give a shit if people are like, well, the like to like post ratio, and like it doesn't make like, I don't care. Like you could just look at my journey, look at how bad I was before. And then like I think people really appreciate that. So like what Kayleigh says, it's really important to show off like your journey, in my opinion.
Definitely. This actually kind of ropes into the Coast Guards thing, but someone asked, what level of painting do you recommend having before attending one of the Warrior Painters events?
Oh, so you don't have to have like any experience at all. We have people that are like, "Oh, Angela, I've never used gouache before." So just come. Like you'll learn on the spot. Like Kayleigh has even painted with us. Okay, she kicks butt at painting. Like the few times she tried, I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm glad you don't practice every day, because maybe you'll take my job." So you might surprise yourself. So just come at any level. Don't be intimidated.
Yeah, even though I mentioned that we have a lot of professionals there, but we also have non-professional artists in the group, and people are working all kinds of different jobs, and it's always really interesting to hear everyone's story. And coming to an in-person session, you get to communicate, or I kind of like have fun. I wouldn't call it networking, because not people are not here for jobs.
Yeah,
We
we're
are
just here
here
to
for
hang out.
fun. Yeah, so you can make friends this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, one other question here. Do you recommend taking any non-artist jobs like production assistants or coordinators in the like industry, given that there are limited artist roles?
That's a good question, but it kind of goes back to like the limited job market right now. So I think not only are the art jobs limited, but production is limited too, because the production coordinator or assistant jobs also need like projects to be greenlit to in order to hire that staff. So I mean, if you guys are having a hard time breaking into the art roles, this is a good way to kind of get to know people. So Kayleigh, can you talk about like some people on Solar that actually made the transition?
Yeah. So even though for production type of interviews, they all ask you, do you want to stay in production? Is this your goal? I think it's okay to tell them, for now, I want to learn more about animation production, but later on, I want to try to move to artist roles. Because I have a coworker, she was a production assistant. She did work for us for 6 months as assistant, and she became a character designer or a prop designer afterwards really quickly. Because being in that same production, you get to know the people and then you can talk to them, let them know, oh, like I said in my interview, I love doing production work. I'm very organized. I love doing this, but my goal is in the art roles. And then people are usually really nice. They'll try to fill you in if there's an opportunity. Yes, but some people might take a bit longer. So this person I was talking about, 6 months is really fast for anyone who moves to artist roles. But yeah, working in production, Andrea also knows this. It's a great way to get to know like everything about animation and get to know like what exactly is happening. Yeah, it's
But
really good for you.
but the key is to let people know because that's what that person on Solar did, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
worked out really well. So, like I said, especially for some of us, we have to be really vocal about things, and it sucks, but that's what we have to do.
Definitely. Okay, I have a really exclamated question here from I think a lot of people want to know. Will asked it. How do you recommend balancing working on both improving your skills as an artist and working on your portfolio?
Why can't it be both? Because like you can work on your portfolio. Like I said, if you guys have a specific goal that you want to tackle per piece, you're not only working on your portfolio, but you're also working on your skills. So the biggest thing that I try to teach my students when I'm teaching a course is as long as you think about what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but you're not only going to be improving on your skills, but you're also helping your portfolio. So I feel like it's the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna promote our classes a little bit here. So a lot of our classes, you actually get to develop your own personal pieces in the class. So you bring your idea inside and you have this mentor or instructor to help you along the way. And you will get assignments specifically about like to train your certain skills, but you're also developing your own like idea and story. Yeah, so that's a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of segue Abinia, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but they kind of segued it into a great another question, whereas how do you find your personal style? For someone who has multiple styles, they're not sure if that's a good thing or not.
The way that I personally view styles is like styles are definitely great, but what I think, just my own personal experience, like or opinion, is that for an artist, you like if let's think about like Sargent, Soroya, and then like Monet. What made them so unique is they never stopped experimenting, they never stopped developing their style, right? So if you have multiple styles, it's actually good because let's just say you know how to do like a very flat style and then you know how to do hyper realism. Like you could try to like nonstop trying to like combine it to find different aspects within each style. So I wouldn't say that like you should maybe try to find your personal style, but the more you experiment, the more tools you have in your tool belt or toolkit, the more your style will become to mature. So this just comes with mileage, and I think you won't be viewed as a style, but you'll be viewed as an artist that is constantly evolving. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely. There have been a couple questions. They're a little bit different, but all kind of surrounded about your transition, Angela, from games to movies to TV. I mean, you've spanned many different industries. I guess the question is, can you kind of talk about how you navigated those transitions and how did you kind of get your foot into gaming, but also, you had a bunch of experience already in TV and feature as well.
Cool. So I know some of you guys may be starting in animation that wants to go into games or vice versa, or even to film. I can't really speak about live action, but I can talk about like animated films. So the way that I got started was I actually went to a convention. I was selling some artwork at an artist alley, and then somebody, a video game owner came up to me, and this is when I was still in art center, and he's like, "Hey, I really like your artwork. Do you want a job?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, of course, I don't want to pay this stupid art center like 10K or like 20K a year. What, I don't even know how much it was anymore. It was such a long time ago." And then after that, I dropped out of art center. My mom was so mad. I mean, come on, we're all Asians. We know how like Asian parents are when it comes to like degrees. So I don't have a degree. I'm only a high school grad. So you know how like shameful that is. But I dropped out because I was paying for my own college at the time, and I started working, and I think the reason why I made personally the transition into animation was because of the pay. It's a lot higher in animation. And the way that I got it was I took a lot of classes, and actually one of my teachers, Darren Quach, he got offered a job at Titmouse on Motor City. And he's like, "Oh, I'm working right now. So do you want to try out for this?" So he forwarded my portfolio to them, and then they gave me an art test. And then that's like ever since then, I've been working on TV animation. And then the way that I transitioned into feature films was after KIPO, they wanted to move me onto a different project. But I'm like, "Can you guys like maybe give me a feature role?" And then that's how I got to work in like on Bad Guys. So the moral of the story is know people, put yourself out there, and then let people know what you want to do so that you can get like achieve your goal.
Definitely. Okay, maybe one more question and then we can jump into the portfolio reviews.
Oh, we still have another section afterwards to help you guys like kind of, I guess, cater your portfolio.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, let's do one more question. So this is actually very connected to what you were just talking about, Angela, but putting yourself out there and trying to assert yourself as an artist, how do you do that and gain leadership or try to go up the ladder? You want to promote yourself to get your foot in the door, but getting in the door, how do you keep going?
Okay, that's like super good. I think especially for us more introverted people, it's very difficult. But um I think you just need to remember that there's no one out there that's going to help you. So you have to be the only one to help yourself. But of course, there's like kind of a technique to saying it, right? Like I told Kayleigh that day when the recruiter was going to call me, I'm like, "Oh my God, should I really ask her if I could be an art director? Like, what happens if she says no?" And she's like, "Well, the worst thing she could say is no. What is it gonna do to you?" And I'm like, "How do I say it without sounding like I'm demanding too much?" She's like, "But you are doing something and you're qualified for it. So just ask for it." So to assert yourself, you have to like, I guess, talk to your friends. That really helps. And if you have a partner, that really helps too. And then just realize that you have your own self-worth. We all work so hard. We put in so many countless hours into art, being an artist. So just take your time, like try to boost up your own self-esteem. And of course, you'll always have imposter syndrome, no matter how long you've worked in the industry. I keep thinking I'm going to get fired the first month on every single job I start. And then even after a year, I'm like, you could ask Kayleigh, I'm like, "Oh my God, they want a private meeting with me. I'm getting fired." So this feeling never goes away. You'll just constantly feel bad. So just try to push yourself, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and just go for it. That's all I could really say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you everybody for asking questions. Keep asking questions. I'm gonna, document them, and as appropriate, I'll kind of squeeze each one in, but I'm gonna let Angela and Kayleigh take it away for their next bit of presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Angela prepared a small section for people who want to get into background design, paint, and visual development to tell you guys the differences between the roles within a production. And then she'll get into the portfolio reviews.
yeah, speaking of awesome classes that help you cater your portfolio to what you want to do, right? So how many of you guys have actually thought about what you wanted to do? So there are differences between TV animation and feature. This is kind of mostly for TV because I feel like that's the easiest way to kind of break in. But I'll just give you guys kind of an understanding because I feel like a lot of people don't know about this stuff. So have you guys ever thought about what a background artist does? The first time I dated Kayleigh, she's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I work at Nickelodeon as a background artist or designer." She's like, "Cartoons have backgrounds, right?" So a lot of the times what we are doing is this is kind of like a layout where you may get a storyboard and like a rough character, and you have to design the scene that it's in. Okay, so we're translating boards into a background. This is layout because the character is there, and we have to lay out the background for the character. There's two differences though, and this is a background design key. So the difference between this now is I don't know if you guys know this, but right now in America, a lot of the things are being outsourced right now. So oftentimes as background designers, not background layout artists, we have to design a key. So like this, so that the overseas studios knows like which each part of the background looks like. Because as background designers, we have to kind of go through the animatic, figure out how many shots are within one location, and then design the background key according to that. So remember, this is going to be super important when you guys are doing your portfolio. I went through some of your portfolios already for the portfolio review. And I think this will be a very great addition to your portfolio. So please think about adding a background key and then a background layout to it, okay? So again, layout is based off of the character and the animation within the series. And the key is just so it supplements the information for those layouts. And then again, this is background layout where I put the character, they're interacting with the space. And of course, like, do you guys just want to be a background designer forever? Do you think you're going to get loaded off of that? No, right? So after that, it's really important to kind of start asking yourself, like, what do you want to do next? So the next step for me was I worked in Shanghai. I became a supervisor for environments there. And from there on, I was able to kind of snowball and become an art director on KIPO. And then at that same time, I was working on my painting because I was really weak at it. So I was putting myself again in an uncomfortable situation, pushing myself to grow. But art directors basically oversee the entire art department. And we also have to work with the showrunners, the production staff, and then the storyboard directors too. So we have to get color scripts ready. Most of the shows are kind of generally like this, but it depends on what show you are, because the fine, like the fine print of each show is kind of different. So the structure is also different. But on KIPO, I had no supervisors. I was the only one overseeing the entire department. So I had to do color design, color scripts, paint, background design, character designs, and props. But sometimes in other studios, you will have like a design supervisor, a color supervisor to help you out with that stuff. But on KIPO, I didn't. So I set the look of the line art. I worked with painters to kind of develop the look of the paint. And then Rad was the one who developed the characters, but I still also had to pick up some character work on the side. So it was really, really hectic. And this is kind of like the pipeline in America. And I think this is really important for you guys to understand so that you can understand where you can begin as an artist and then where you can like kind of expand up your ladder career. Okay. So the EP is executive producers, AKA showrunners for TV series. Underneath them is a line producer who is in charge of the production and the schedules and the budget. And then the two departments for the art side is supervising director, which is storyboard side, director, board artist, and then revisionist. So if you guys are interested in storyboarding, actually doing revisions will be a very, very good place to begin. And then for the art side, you have the art director, and then you have background design, paint, props, characters, and color design. If you guys are interested in doing background paint, color design is actually a great place to start. And if you guys want to do background design, props is a good place to start. And after all of the designs are done in-house, we ship it to overseas. Okay. If you guys have any questions on that, let me know in the chat.
And I want to add, color design is basically just design colors for the props and characters. So sometimes you just paint a lot of characters for your work, and it's really fun for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then sometimes you also have to create special palettes, effects palettes. So special palettes meaning like your character in a sunset background. So if you guys look at these KIPO ones, KIPO will look different in this environment than she would in this like shaded environment. So knowing that stuff is really important for like color design. Thanks, Kayleigh. Oftentimes when you guys are thinking about background design, you're just like, oh, that's a cool background design. But as background designers, we have to learn how these things work within it, right? So when I saw the animatic, this is all I got. And I'm like, how could I make sure I don't have to draw like 20 different backgrounds? So scrubbing through this animatic, I was able to be like, okay, this is one background that encompasses all of this information. So yeah, I just basically took everything and I condensed it into one. And this is kind of how to be efficient, and a good background designer is just being aware of this stuff. And as an art director, this is what I really look for in a portfolio. I think just being smart about what you do, because on KIPO, we only had 2 weeks to do an entire episode. And I remember in episode 1, we had to design 100 backgrounds. Okay. So we needed to all be very, very efficient. And the efficiency is something like, you not only have to be good, but you have to be smart about what you're designing. So that's what I'm really looking for in background designers too. Another thing that I'm really looking for when I'm background designing, this is a kind of a demo that I did for my background design class. I'm looking to see if you know how to draw through your space, if you understand scale, if you understand how objects sit in space too. And then of course your line weight is really, really important. So that's the top things that I look for. And when you guys are designing, even for like a series, this is something that I really recommend people, and what I had to train all my background artists and painters to do, and prop artists and color designers. But when you're creating like a design, you always have to understand what the story is, what the intention of that shot is doing, and then you have to research to make it all believable. So let's just say, what is story? Story is basically where what is going on in that sequence? Is someone being chased, right? And in that, what is the intention? How is the camera being like laid out to show the action of that in the frame? And then like research, how can I bring in like architecture, foliage to make that part believable? So all of this stuff is really, really important to do. This is a shot from KIPO that I wanted to use as an example. But so in this shot, the frog dude is coming down the stairs and he's trying to chase KIPO, but gets stuck on that like pole there. So there are certain elements that you can't move and you can't change the camera angle. And I really wanted to push a perspective to make it feel like a really like drastic fall. So after I understood the story and the intention of the shot, I carefully plot out my perspective. I draw through all my stuff. It's kind of how to paint an owl, but I'm sorry. I'm really trying to figure out the space. And then I bring in like realistic detail. So I looked at a lot of Silver Lake houses to see how they feel in that area. And then I thought about how it looked like being overgrown. And then adding more space to make it feel like it's pushed. And then I had to color this one too. So just like I highlighted the stairs a little bit more so the character could really stand out there. So and then I use values to push everything on the side back so it's not distracting. So for this bad guy shot too, like I had to understand the story for this. So the bad guys are being chased in this scene, and they needed to find an out from the police because they're cornered. And then the only way out is through these really steep stair steps. So I pushed the steepness of the stairs, and then I also wanted to show how deep it goes with the like really crazy city behind. Okay. So that's how I designed it. I really wanted to push the shapes. I made the houses a lot bigger and they take up a lot more space. and then the houses in the back a lot smaller. So there's that contrast there to make it feel like it's really deep. And then like not only using colors with saturation in the front, but desaturating it as it goes further back. But then like thinking about how like slimy LA looks sometimes because it looks like PP yellow sometimes, right? So adding like that yellow filter to it, and then just like slowly painting it out. I don't really use 3D for my paintings, so this did take me a little bit of time to like draw and paint, but this is the final product, and I just wanted to feel like a very dramatic shot going down. So doing research on how LA looks to make it feel authentic. This is kind of that Burbank building that I always drive past during work, so I wanted to add it there. And then adding personal touches about like what you believe is something that interests you. So like I always wanted one of those Spanish style houses, so I designed two here. And then you can add like fun things like this girl's like, oh my God, what is this car doing? And then there, like, I can't really zoom in, but there's another cat with the mouth, with their mouth open, going like, oh my God. So like adding these little Easter eggs will add like a lot more fun to your paintings. But yes, that's it. Okay, I'm kind of still on time.
Perfect. Okay, so we are going to take a quick group picture, just so that way we can have everybody here in our picture, and then we're going to start with our portfolio reviews. As a reminder, I did put this in the chat, but people who are being reviewed today have been selected beforehand. So if you were looking to get your portfolio reviewed, we have other portfolio review sessions in our AIA Career Summit. So I'll put the link in the chat again to sign up for those different events. Just a quick reminder, during the portfolio review, we ask that if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and just allow Angela to talk to the artist one-on-one. If you are the artist, we recommend sharing your video, your audio, encouraged but not required. And so for anyone who wants to be in the picture, share your video, and I'm going to take some fun screenshots to commemorate our first AIA Career Summit of 2023. So yeah, here we go. 30 seconds. Actually, no, 15 seconds. Okay, nice. Yep. Get the hair ready. Get it all ready. Yep. Okay. Background's looking good. Looking good. Okay, here we go. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, great. Okay, next page, because there's more people. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Great. All right. Thank you, everybody. So for those who want to stay for the portfolio reviews, please feel free to stay. We do not want you to feel like you have to leave. But in the meantime, Angela is going to share screen, and we're going to start with our first portfolio review.
Cool. I wanted to just say thank you everyone for submitting your portfolio. Great work. Once again, it's just a really hard time in the industry, so please don't be discouraged. I'm going to start off with Kyra. So I'm more of the type of person where I hope you guys can be interactive with me, so please unmute and talk. But I wanted to compliment you on your layout first. I thought this was really cool. Let me just go to the main page. So
thank you.
Yeah, I have a few questions also. You have this splash page, so I feel like when I enter the page, right? Do you think I feel like this is kind of like redundant? So maybe if you had that one, like the big one here, and then you could have the button where they're like panning paintings, it might be easier to navigate, because for this one, I mean, it's cool that I could click through it, but I don't want to discourage like the recruiters to kind of like, I mean, this is for me, when I was on KIPO, I had to go through 60 portfolios a day. So I would think that this is your main site. Does that make sense? So if you had like a big splash page in the beginning, it might be helpful.
Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, because
That was
and
much
then when we
more-
get
okay.
here, it would be cool if you have like just this page ready. Like this is my own preference. I'm not saying it's like the rule of law, so you could take like some things that you like and some things that you don't, but that's the first thing that I noticed. A lot of the portfolios that I'm reviewing, I wanted to say really good job, because you guys have such easy contact information and you have it on the bottom. That is something a lot of people don't have, so that's really great. I wanted to ask you
Sorry,
too.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Sorry. Oh yes, Caitlin just said I think was it Kayleigh? Sorry. Someone just said quiet. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Caitlin. Yes.
Um, this is really cool how you have about and resume, but maybe can you put like about, resume, and contact together? Because
Oh sure. Yes.
I personally think the less tabs you guys have, the more condensed the information. It's easier to kind of like navigate because you could easily put this like right down here, right? So I think that would be really cool to have. Um, okay, so the other thing is I think when you guys are designing your portfolio, it's also really important to kind of have different tabs. So like you have your background design with your background paint. So let's just say if you were to remove like your contact and have background design and then background paint, it might be easier to navigate. Are you consolidating everything because you feel like you don't have enough work?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's my first background painting design project, so I was like, I'm not really sure what to do with it yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and then for your project, so like, do you see how every single time I click projects, I have to scroll down from like this big one? So it might be beneficial, like when I click background, it just jumps into like the tab for that. So maybe you could do a page 2 for projects where it's just like these three show up right away. Does that make sense? So like I don't have to scroll down and then look for it.
Yes, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and then for your projects, I was looking at your portfolio. It overall looks really cool. I like your research and stuff. Um, maybe like I like it when people show their idea inspiration, but maybe if you put it like let's just say I remember seeing like some things, but if you put like this page for references along with like your sketches. So but like maybe make it smaller so it doesn't take most of the attention. But like, do you see what I mean? Where like I get to this page, I see a nice painting, but as I'm scrolling down, like the first thing I see is inspiration. So another rule of thumb is you have to remember that the recruiters are looking at like hundreds of pages every single day. What they want to do is they want to see your most impressive pieces right away, and then when you catch their attention, then they'll be like more inclined to scroll through your page. But if you have a nice painting and then it's inspiration, I think the max scrolls are like 3. So like just then I go 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So let's just see how far it gets. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then I'm like, okay. So you want to make sure like your most important pieces are kind of underneath it. And if you do want to share your inspiration, maybe put like a smaller portion of it next to your artwork so it's more obvious. Um, but these are cool. Maybe I would put the final pieces, like let's say is are these thumbnails for this one?
Uh yes, it's just like exploration until I yeah, came up with the final one.
Okay. I
Yes.
think you could maybe like just do color explorations and put your thumbnails here, like condensing it so there's less scrolls. I know you're trying to make it seem like more paintings, but sometimes I think it's beneficial to condense it a little bit more. And again, this is my preference, but yeah, so like maybe for this one, I like how you did the layout for this where you had the color exploration and then the sketch on the bottom. So maybe for this one you could put the final painting and then those two on the bottom too. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, again, my preference. So another thing that I noticed about your colors, they're really vibrant and fun, but it's just kind of like the same saturation. So as a painter, and when I'm like looking for artists to hire, what do I mean by like the same saturation? So these are generally like very high saturation pieces, and this is also a very high saturation piece. So maybe what you can like also focus on is working on saturational pieces that are varied. So you can have some that are grayer. You can have extremely intense saturations. You can have different levels of saturation within your painting too. So I really like the game project. That's really cool. But
Thank you.
maybe like you see how it's just black and saturation, like having a range of saturation might help you with that. And then same thing for this one, where this saturation, it just feels like about the same intensity as this one. So does that kind of make sense to you or no?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I noticed my artwork to be too colorful. I was like, oh, I like color, but I didn't know it's like actually can be distracting at times or too
It's not
much. Yeah.
distracting. Like, I think it's so cool that you could push the full saturation, but I think if you guys want to do like Visdev for like feature, the variety will help. So this is also a note for everybody here. But I think doing different saturations is important, doing different types of lighting. So understanding how shadows are casted is something that I'm looking for too. So like how, like you're telling me that the light is coming from the left, pretty flat because this is like, or it's slightly angled, right? But there aren't like many shadows that are showing me the consistency through the image. So consistency and lighting. And then this is a really difficult type of painting to paint, but I want you guys maybe to think about painting diffuse lighting. Diffuse lighting is really hard. So a lot of people want to look at stuff like that. So like a rainy day would be awesome to show. And then these sketches are cool. So I recommend you doing more. I could see you experimenting in style. These are really fun. Maybe split these two up. And as background designs, I do like how you have different point of views, but do you notice they're about the same distance for where the camera is? So I want you to play with like something that's really close, something that's really far away, and then something that's like mid-level for your backgrounds. Because that's what I'm really looking for. And then drawing through your scale, the stuff that I mentioned earlier in the presentation will help. And then these are really fun, but you kind of miss the shadows for some. So like this one should have a cast shadow down here, right? So just make sure you have that consistency in there. Is this all making sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But great job. Like I think the layout's really great. Just a little bit of consolidation will really help, but great work. Maybe put your Instagram on here. Wait, this is Instagram, right? I thought it was LinkedIn.
Oh, that's my LinkedIn.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like put your other social medias too. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
work. Cool. Is Mandy here?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so do you want to do background paint or just Visdev?
Either one works for me.
Okay. I mean, okay, cool. These are what is there a reason why you chose this like super long format?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like this extremely like long format.
Oh, that was for part of my animation where I was like scrolling through the backgrounds. Oh, sorry about my audio. I'm in a car at the moment.
Oh, no problem. So maybe the first thing that you could do is like showcase your animation because I mean, why wouldn't you show that?
Oh, do you think it'll be okay to have like an animation section in my portfolio, even though I'm pursuing like pre-production?
So I think like when I first saw this, I was just a little bit confused why you chose this like aspect ratio, I guess. But I think it would be cool if you had like maybe like on one page where you do show like it moving a little bit. So which one's your favorite out of all of these?
Out of the long ones.
Yeah.
I think either maybe the forest one or the the ice one that I started to go with.
This one?
No, the one below it. Yeah, the
Oh,
bottom
okay.
two.
Okay, cool. So maybe because they kind of like these three kind of feel the same in terms of lighting for me. So these do feel extremely so like maybe if you chose three of these, right? I think it would still get the same idea across. And then you could show the animation like if you have like three smaller ones on the bottom and then them moving, it might be a nice like way to showcase it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I would kind of consolidate these like they're these these paintings look great, but I think they might benefit a little bit more if you just like finished it a little bit more and then because the reason why I'm asking you to add in the animation is because if you show it moving, I think it'll like kind of push people to scroll down a little bit more too. Also, the reason why I feel like these three are really good combos is because let me just zoom out. I cannot zoom out. Okay. It's because I feel like they have like very different value ranges, and this is a nice diffuse painting, but maybe study how diffuse lighting works a little bit more to figure out the transition shapes of like the form. Okay. I do like the color variation here too a lot, so that's really great. And for these, they're fun too. I like the color exploration, but maybe when you're doing this too, you could do different types of lighting. So I think after working for a bit, my experience has been when I'm submitting in work, people are not only looking for color explorations, but they're also trying to look for whatchamacallit, lighting variations too. So you have to understand how the light and shadows interact with the color. So exploring that might help you. And then it might like be more exciting to see how you got to the final rather than it just being color explorations. Does that make sense, Mandy?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. And then like so consistencies for lighting too. It looks like right now the whiteboard is kind of lighting this, right? But I understand that you're trying to show me that it's coming from the windows like opposite where the camera like is shooting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like so it's there's two different conflicting things about this. So unless there's like a blind that's angled, I wouldn't believe that this lighting would make sense. So you guys can come up with your own lighting shapes too, but as kind of like someone who has a little bit of experience like looking for at portfolios, when I'm looking at like Visdev artists or painters portfolios, I want to make sure that like at least the light shapes are believable. So this might work fine, but then the cast shadows on the ground makes me believe that it's not really consistent. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I understand.
yeah. So just making sure like maybe you could just either get rid of it. So or like because some of it should be in shadow because there should be also a structure. So maybe parts of it should also be concealed by lighting. Like I'm just kind of not understanding the light source too well here. Over here is kind of cool. Like I like how this is also a really good thing for painters and Visdev artists, but understanding different materials. So Mandy did a really good job kind of thinking about the different materials. So is this carpet over here?
Uh, I think I was going for like still like hard floor
But it's
laminated,
not
I
as
guess.
reflective or
Yeah, just not as reflective as the other one.
cool. So if you guys can also showcase different materials in your paintings, I think that's really great. So there's nice like specular highlights or like reflections. This is pretty cool. Did you use 3D for this?
Oh no, this is those two are all 2D.
Okay. Because like this looks a little bit Blender generated, so I was confused a little bit. But I do like the material differences here. Let's see. And then like okay, this is another thing, but I'm like always looking for consistency. Like you have a hard cast shadow here, but no cast shadows here. So just make sure you have that um consistency in there. And these two actually feel more finished than all of these, so maybe I would move it up because they just look more refined, and then there's more color and value range too. This is so cute. Very adorable. So another thing that I'm looking for as like an art director or someone who's hiring is I'm looking for temperature differences. So if you guys want to add things into your portfolio, maybe thinking about the cool versus warm in terms of like lighting and shadow. So light and shadow is really interesting. Generally speaking, when the light is warm, the shadows are cool. And when the light is cool, the shadows are warm. So in this instance, Mandy, can you tell me what color is your light?
I guess like a pink, a muted pink.
Okay, so in this instance too, then like maybe you could either push. So if I were to push the blues to be a little bit cooler, then the pinks would feel even more intense, right? So right now, everything is kind of feeling in the mid-range. So I feel like if you were to push it a little bit more, it would have that vibrancy in there. So maybe like for this piece, you could not only darken the values on the shadow side like by 15%, but I would also increase the intensity or the saturation of the blues in the shadows too. Same thing for this one, right? It's like so beautiful. Like for painting, it's always about finding the contrast. So if you were able to like saturate the pinks by 10%, then push the blues just by 20%, I think you'll see a huge difference. Also, this is sunset lighting, so the cast shadow should be hard. It should actually be like a hard line through rather than it fading. It will get softer edge as it goes further away from the subject, but I don't think it would disappear completely like this. Does that make sense too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want treasure too. Why is this circled?
Oh, sorry. I think I was trying to clarify that the clock tower was what I was modeling in the in those two models.
So what I would do for this one is kind of like the same suggestion that I gave Kyra, where maybe you can make it all in one page, make this one smaller and make these two the bigger ones, because that's like the main focus of this page, right?
All right, I understand.
Yeah. But overall, like I would actually move like these two up and then maybe like have this one as the third one and then like the penguin series as the second one. Because I think these are like really cute. And then like
Oh,
just
okay, thank you.
yeah. Just more variety in terms of light, and then making sure your cast shadows are very apparent, because that really shows us like if you understand lighting. And then also like you should add some like diffuse paintings too, where it's like either rainy or like an indoor scenario, so that we could see you have variety of that too. Cool, that's it for your Visdev. For your illustrations, if it loads for me, this is cool. Okay. Wow, it's very different from your Visdev work.
Yeah.
That's cool. Maybe I would put this under like character illustrations because you're really good at it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah, I mean, some of them aren't loading for me. I don't know why. Are they 18 plus pictures? Is that why? Or
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know why they're not loading.
so maybe what you can do is make the resolution smaller, because I think they're just huge. Because like
Okay.
remember, like the recruiters don't have a lot of time, so you want to make sure it loads really fast. So I think something like this jumps out to me right away. So maybe I would move this one and then Sword Girl up to the top.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just do them like maybe I would do like character moments for this section. Yeah, because I think those two are definitely way stronger than this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then cool, this is awesome. Maybe like you don't need a separate resume tab. Maybe you could put it like right next to this, because I think it's really awesome how you have these links here too.
All right.
Cool. And then yes, so maybe like I'm always biased, but I think having an organized main page so it's easy to navigate. Like maybe you can have like scrolling images in the beginning, but that's my preference, and if you don't like it like that, it's fine too. But great work. Thanks for sharing.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank
then
you.
the last one is Eugen. So A plus because it's Mango Cafe. So same thing for your portfolio review as a lot of the others. I think right now we have a tendency to go for like super saturation, but it might benefit you a little bit more too if you kind of worked on ranges that are like more subtle, more like gray, and then some that are really pushed and some that are kind of in the middle. So that's one thing, but I do appreciate how you have different materials. That's really fun. And you have different times of days. Uh, but like I think when you are working on your like shadows, for example, like when you squint your eyes, the shadow of the tree is kind of like disappearing into the same value as this red. So like pushing your contrast a little bit more. So during daytime, the contrasts are extremely high. So I think when people are looking at portfolios, they want to make sure that you could kind of accomplish the right type of mood. So I think just by like darkening your shadows here would help a little bit. Same thing for this, since you have such a clear light source, it might be beneficial to like increase the contrast a little bit, kind of like this one, right? Also another thing that I would recommend is working on your cools and warms, because like your shadow is just kind of like a darker version of this, but there's a lot of environmental factors that should be tinting your shadows to be a little bit cooler. This one has like nice variety of color, but this orange might be feeling a little bit out of place. Ribbit, that's cute. This is cool. So like you could see here, this is a really good example for like all of you guys maybe, where you could see that there's a really high contrast, and then there's really obvious like cool, let me make it bigger, cool versus warm, right? So I feel like this one's starting to feel a little bit more gray, so pushing that contrast a little bit more might help. And then these are really cool. So doing these types of photo studies will actually be pretty helpful in your portfolio, in my opinion. So I think so same thing, this is a personal preference, but maybe if you had like cards like Kyra did, it might be easier to navigate. Illustrations, let's take a look. Is it loading? Oh, these are your illustrations. Okay. Portfolio. So maybe if you separate them by like project, it might be easier to navigate. So I was telling Kyra earlier too that recruiters usually, or at least for me, when I had to go through 60 portfolios, right? Making sure your strongest pieces are the first, like within the first 3 scrolls. So like 1, 2, 3. Making sure that all those pieces are really strong. And then I would kind of maybe consolidate your portfolio and illustration, because it's kind of the same things. And then making sure they're like categorized into like, oh, mango cafe project. And then you have your like, I guess this is Vietnam, I'm assuming, right, as a separate project, and then your yummy yummy sandwich portfolio as another one. So making it organized is going to be important. It's really cool how you have your 3D models too. So that's awesome to show as well. So I really do like, so Kyra, this is might be like a good one for you to look at, where she has 3D, so you could put the sketches on the side and the final on the side too. But I really want you to consolidate and organize it so it's easier to follow. And yes, I think you could just name this as background design. And client work is great. So, and I would consolidate the about and contact all together. So just make sure that's really, because like you could put the contact on the bottom, and it's easy. And you also have like these contact buttons on the bottom too. So it's just easy to find. That's a really great job. For all of you guys trying to work on your portfolios, having your email visible is also super important. So great job with that. But yes, I think just consolidating it a little bit more, and maybe listening to what I said to some of the previous people might be beneficial. But yes, really great work. And I think just working on the variety of saturations and lighting would be really helpful for your portfolio. But that's it. Awesome work. So we do have like 10 minutes or 9 minutes left. I don't know if we want to take any like Q&A questions.
Yeah, definitely. We have one that came through while you were doing some portfolio reviews. It's from Abhinaya. Sorry if I mispronounced that. What if my personal work is project portfolio based? Is it better to put that in a personal page or the general Visdev professional page?
So it's kind of like okay, so I think it was Sydney, right? Sydney had a Visdev section with all of her portfolio. It looked really cool. But if you can isolate some of the things that are like either background design or paint, it just might make it easier to navigate. So having a Visdev section with all of your projects, like the way that Kyra organized it was really nice, where you could click into one and then scroll through it rather than having like 3 projects all together. And then take out the pieces that might be better individually as a separate section. So just remember, your portfolio is to make sure it's easy for like recruiters to find what they need. So separating it to clear layouts is going to be really, really helpful. I hope that answers the question.
Definitely. Oh, we just got one from Caitlin. How do you balance taking classes and learning versus pure creating and making? How do you often ask for feedback on your paintings as well?
Okay, well, I don't think I'm a good person to ask because I don't balance anything. I just take classes when I'm doing like 2 freelances and then I paint for myself on top of that. Um, yeah, I just ignore Kayleigh. But yeah, I think if it's something that you're really passionate about, you'll find time to do it. So if it's something that you really want to do, let's just say that you find an artist that you really like and they're taking a class and you're just like, but I'm so busy because of this and that. Like, I would just say sign up for it because I'll force you to like do it. And then I think if you especially have really good classmates, it'll really push you to like kind of focus on it. So it's just about forming a routine, Caitlin, and sticking to it. So I think habits stick after 21 days of doing the same thing. So right now, if I don't paint and draw for myself after work, I feel like shit. So just making sure you find time for it. And I think learning, taking classes, and then making things are kind of the same thing. But the only difference is you're learning a different perspective. You're taking a different point of view. So it feels really painful. But then after class, you could take the knowledge you learn and slowly digest it. So I think I ask for feedback once I take classes, and I take classes really frequently. I think Kayleigh was calculating. I'm like number 3 of the student that took the most classes at Warrior Art Camp. So I try to take classes to ask for feedback, and that's how often I ask for it. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Our next question comes from Vandana. They are just starting to create their portfolio. Do you have any other portfolio review places that you suggest, or maybe even sessions?
Okay, I'm not trying to plug in Warrior Art Camp, but I'm gonna plug in Warrior Art Camp. So the things that we do, so I run this portfolio session every month or with my friend Kelsey Rowland. And basically what we do is we switch it up. So 1 month, is it every 2 weeks or is it a month? I forget. But we basically do a portfolio session one time where we're looking at your portfolios and we're giving people suggestions. We try to get through as many as we can within an hour. And then after that, what we do is we have another session where we kind of email recruiters or send them messages on LinkedIn. So we find the LinkedIn portfolios, we share that information together, and we just look at each other's emails to kind of go through it. So that's the only other place that I do it. And then I guess you can like look, Asians in animation like run these really great events. And then I'm sure there are other places that do it too, but I think it's not as easily accessible. So you just have to do research if it's something that you're really into. So it just takes time to look for.
Yes, I'm gonna plug Asians in Animation. Well, we have a whole month of our AIA Career Summit. So I put it in the chat, but I'm going to put it in one more time. We have a lot of different portfolio review sessions that don't require you to sign up beforehand. I know this one was a little special because of our panelists coming from Warrior Art Camp, but there are more casual sessions that you can join as well. So check our schedule out, and I'll put that in the chat. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Anybody else out there want to ask their last questions? Oh, wow. Okay. June, thank you. Okay. Hi, June. So they are asking, are there any good tips, methods that you find as jobs as a student who has little work experience?
So actually, I actually met up with a recruiter yesterday and I was asking them about this situation. So I was like, sometimes your job posts are very discouraging for green artists who have no experience. So what do you recommend people doing in this instance? And he said that like, it's just important about putting yourself out there, making sure you're noticeable on social media, and that you showcase a very strong fundamental and wide skill range, right? So if you are new, it doesn't really matter. But it really sucks, but I think social media is just a very good vehicle for getting hired now. So getting noticed, trying to go to like more of these events, getting people to know you will be helpful, because I feel like a lot of the times when people do get jobs, at least from my experience, it's through word of mouth. So you sometimes people get work through the online inquiries or submissions on the websites from studios, but it's more through like, oh hey, so a lot of the times we post job listings on Warrior Painters, and they're like, oh, DM me for your like for portfolios. So even on Warrior Painters, we try to get people jobs, and a lot of people have gotten hired through Warrior Painters. So just look out for those job postings, apply to everything you see. If you know somebody working at a studio, maybe asking them for like a coffee chat where you can treat them to a cup of coffee, and then like asking them to look at your portfolio and like, oh, if you hear of anything, do you think you could keep me in mind in the future? A lot of people are willing to help because we've all been in this situation before. So just talk to more people and don't be discouraged.
Awesome. Last couple here. Do you have any advice if someone, this is from Ronan, wants to sell or share their art in events at NYC?
Okay. I remember when Warrior Painters, nobody knew about it. So like me and Kayleigh were like, our biggest dream is to show at gallery shows, right? And we're like, nobody's ever gonna do that. But we started off by doing like our own shows where we talked to local cafes, and then we're like, hey, do you want to like do a event together? So we started off like that, and then eventually we had a group show at Gallery Nucleus here in Los Angeles, which is a really popular like entertainment gallery. So I think starting off first, if you can gather a group of friends, rent out a space, invite your friends and family. Like maybe you won't like sell a lot, but at least it'll be like a very encouraging thing for you guys to like, it's like a payoff. So let's say you do Coast Cards this year, and then like at the end of Coast Cards, you're like, let's organize a cafe show with all of the Coast Cards I did. And then you just invite your friends and family. It's like a nice reward. So slowly start off like that. You'll get noticed by more and more people, and then just keep building on. Like I said, art is just about patience. So keep trying things and being patient with yourself, and things will eventually happen for you.
Amazing. Okay, well, I think that's it. I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined us today for the full 2 hours, especially. We appreciate you. And Kayleigh and Angela, thank you so much to both of you and Warrior Art Camp for joining us today and giving your time to do not only the presentation, but the portfolio reviews. So thanks, everybody. We will catch you next time. And yeah, any closing words, Kayleigh or Angela?
Thank you so much, Andrea. You're being really attentive at like taking notes of the questions. And thank you everyone for participating and just chatting with us. It's been fun. And yeah, I hope your Saturday morning or Saturday 2 hours is worth it.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Don't give up, and always just keep working hard. Believe in yourself. That's it.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, have fun
Bye.
in other events. Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.